On today's episode, Oh, shoot, I should have turned down my phone. Hello? Wow. We have a lot to talk about. What's up, everyone? My name is Rapha Conrad, also known on YouTube as RandomRapha, and I'm your host for Wondering and Wandering Through the Wonderhole, the show that we discuss, react, and share our predictions/theories about Rhett's wonderful, beyond wonderful show, Wonderhole Season 2. Alright, it's time to be honest right here as I try my best in doing so. This is my second time in filming this. I'm actually filming it on the day that I'm going to upload this. I filmed this yesterday. Everything went great, but I accidentally pressed the wrong button, which caused to mute the entire recording. I have like 45 minutes of me just going like with no sound. So I'm considering this as a moment of redemption for me because I'm going to do it a little bit better than I did the first time. Let me just be clear right here. Whether if it's for this series or any of the content that I posted where it's just me talking to the camera, even though I'm talking to you, whoever's watching this, I get this comment occasionally, like, oh, you're talking way too much, or you're not making any sense, you're not going straight to the point, it's too dragged out. I am not ashamed to admit this. I am aware that I make things all too long and not getting straight to the point. I'm a free thinker. I speak from my heart, and that's why I consider these episodes from the series very unfiltered. It's a learning process for me. You never stop learning. Last year, I did this, ironically, episode 3. I tested to see how long it takes for me to finish an episode or film an episode in under 15 minutes. But, spoiler alert, no, did not happen. It went a little bit longer than usual or expected. I'm going to try it again, but this time around, I'm going to see how long it takes for me to talk about it instead of like counting down to see if I can fit into that 15-minute or 30-minute time frame, which I think most of the episodes I've done so far been under the 45 or the 30-minute mark. But I'm going to see if I can talk about this, share my thoughts about episode 3 from season 2 of Wonderhole in under 15 minutes. And just want to let you know, I'm not going to make this unedited whatsoever. I'll probably throw a few things like maybe cut some parts out, but this is for me in general to see how long it takes for me. And speaking of time, I do want to make a little bit of an announcement in regards to when each episode of this series premieres. Last week, episode 2 premiered on Wednesday instead of Tuesday as originally planned due to scheduling and for other reasons. But I have decided that from then on, starting right now, all the way to the season finale of the series, I'm going to premiere each episode every single Wednesday at 6 p.m. Eastern, 3 p.m. Pacific time. Time zones, you gotta love them. Yes, it is a little bit of a gap between when that certain episode premieres to when I'm now going to be sharing my commentary, my review, my perspective, whatever you call it. But I do believe, like, for me, because, like, right now my schedule's a little bit busy these days since I'm being more consistent in creating content unrelated to the series and, of course, working on the documentary film and everything in between. But just want to let you know about that every single episode of the series will premiere on Wednesdays from then on. All right, now that's out of the way, I'm going to, as promised, set my timer right here, the stopwatch right here, to see how long it takes for me to share my thoughts about season 2, episode 3 of Wonderhole. So I'm going to start it. All right, let's go back into the Wonderhole. In episode 3 of season 1 of Wonderhole, Rhett try to find a way to take a sip from a cloud, and while they're at it, they literally jumped out of a plane. Even though the concept was a little bit fictitious, but everything else was real. For this season, episode 3, we see that Rhett still sticking with the clickbait and switch, which is the theme for this season, trying this last man standing wins it all type of challenge videos, if you know what I'm talking about. For this one, Rhett tried to stay awake as long as they can, and if the person falls asleep loses, and the winner wins $10,000. I love it that they filmed it at the creative workspace. So right off the bat, Rhett tried to stay awake, and I caught a little bit of a reference for those that know from my fellow mythical beasts. If you know from the Book of Mythicality, The Lost Causes of Bleak Creek, and an episode of Good Mythical Morning where they try not to flinch while they do these these interesting tasks that might hurt a little bit, where they have their legs splayed out and they throw something at their, their private parts to see if they were going to react or just testing out their pain. For this one, I think the baguette is from Olive Garden. I don't know, but they just throw the piece of bread, the loaf, whatever it is, at each other's parts to not just test their pain, well, kind of, duh, but to see if they can stay awake more, trying to help each other out like best friends would do. As I said in this series, and they confirmed it, that their series is a mix of scripted comedy mixed with that docu-style, vlog-style type of thing. So it's a mix of real life and fictional content right here. But you can just... genuine right there. Energy right there. And it continues on when Rhett has this bag filled with stuff that came from the dark internet. I'm trying to find some ways to wake up, especially with the smelling salts, the energy drinks, and this kit that is used to wake up horses when they come out of surgery right there. And Link, oblivious Link, good old Link Neil, he didn't listen to Rhett's instructions, and he pulls out this vial right there, and he just takes a sip. Well, doesn't take a sip. He drinks all of it. I know it's fake, but if it was, real, like literally, I think I, along with everybody else, were just like, and say along with me.
Classic Link move!
We're all just bracing for impact that Link is going to go off the rails. I mean, when he shows up, out supposedly hours later, shirtless, and he goes, I'm gonna stay awake forever. It just kind of reminds me of Link, if you have seen Good Mythical Evening, where he, a little bit, no, absolutely drunk Link. Let's just call him amped up Link. He's all frazzled, he's all awake. He's just Link being Link. He has the taquitos. It's like, I ran across the 7-Eleven across town doing this, and I want to drive an 18-wheeler. Now we jump to the truck stop, which I have noticed something. Now, if you're part of the Mythical Society, you're probably familiar with this, but if you're not, this would be a good opportunity to sign up for the Mythical Society, which I do have my referral link down below. Sign up and get 25% off your first subscription. But I noticed something, that it's the same truck stop that they filmed for this special that is on Society called Rhett, Link, and Stevie Go To. But for this one, it was them going camping. And I recognized the motel sign. I just saw that it was very familiar. So they're on familiar territory right there. When Rhett and Link are randomly asking these truck drivers, I could just imagine how they felt asking them, or kind of almost felt like catcalling in some way to them. I was like, hey, can we drive your truck? And like, I mean, I think it confirmed by Rhett and Link in an AMA and a Q&A at the screening. They did say they felt very awkward talking to the truck drivers right there. I loved it when one truck driver in particular says,
Like Link from Rhett and Link on Good Mythical Morning.
That's me, man.
No.
Yeah.
Are you kidding me? Can I call my wife real quick? She's not gonna believe me.
So exuberant, so enthusiastic, as other mythical beasts who meet their heroes Rhett for the first time. I mean, I can relate to a lot, but it was just so sweet right there. I mean, I could have just like, you know, if I was there, I could have asked him like, hey, do you want to be part of the documentary film? Which, a little bit of a reminder, the new trailer for the documentary film is out right now. Go check that out after you watch this episode. I don't know how long they filmed that moment right there. Probably like, I don't know, the majority of their day. This truck driver named Ernesto, or Ernie, and I put down my notes right here that Ernesto is their own Sam for this episode. Now, if you remember from season 1, episode 2, Sam was the owner of the shoe store for both the present version and the future version. Not an actor. I can say this, I think actors and actresses can relate to this, that in order to be a great actor, you don't act. You just be yourself. You just find a way to channel that energy right there. But I can, different video for another time. But I have to congratulate Ernesto, for participating in this. He was just such a great sport right there. When Rhett and Link come along with Ernesto, they go inside the truck right there, and genuine energy right there. Genuine is the word for this episode right here. We all know that this is scripted in a way. We started out with like the clickbait thing, which is still carrying on through this episode, where they try to stay awake throughout this challenge they were doing right there. I noticed a little bit later in the episode that there were a couple of references right there. The slapping on the face where Rhett is telling Ernie to like slap in the face. It just kind of reminds me of that certain episode where Rhett and Link slapped each other in the face.
3, 2, 1.
Hey! What?
And that's all I'm going to say about that. Where Link talked to or mentioned about, oh, we drink each other's urine.
Oh! It's so dramatic. It's warm.
So many references. Oh, I forgot when they go into the shop and Rhett has these fireworks right there. Anybody remember the Freelancers Fireworks Hall of Fame music video and the characters? Brought back memories about that. During their excursion in this 18-wheeler, which I have to commend the team for capturing those angles, those shots, especially the moment when like the truck goes through the tunnel right there. I mean, chef's kiss right there. When Rhett and Link, they turn on the radio and they're just talking. What is the name that Rhett calls himself? Diesel Daddy and Gobbler. And of course, going back to the references again, the clothes that they had on. Whoever came up with the idea to have Rhett keep the tags on the shirt. I mean, genuine, genius, whatever it is. I know I said genuine is the word, but now genius is part of the word, you know, for this one. So genius and genuine right here. It kind of reminds me of when in the old Rhett Link sketches where Rhett and Link played rednecks, characters, southern boys right there. It just brought back some memories right there. But then when they had the radio, they were contacting whoever's over on the other side right there. I mean, obviously, Big Rita right there, but I'm not sure if they legit called the person on the line or the operator or whatever it is. But if they did, ooh, that must have been a very strange but interesting day for them. And I want to talk about Big Rita for a second. I tried to figure out who this comedian was, and I did a little bit of researching. I found the comedian who played Big Rita. Her name is Steph Tolev, or I'm butchering the name right there, so I put the link to their Instagram down below, so give them a follow when you can. I sense that Big Rita is the mother to Ernesto. I put this down on my notes when I was watching this. This episode kind of reminded me of Planes, Trains, and Automobiles, The Hangover, Dumb and Dumber. I think that's where they drew their inspiration from, was like those movies that I mentioned. if you think about it, if they started at midnight, and then they started to go in an 18-wheeler 8 hours later, and I don't know if they posted like the timestamps after that, but if you think about it, if they stopped at the area where they went into the shop, I probably think that it's been about 12 hours, because if they started 8 hours in at 8 a.m. and then they stopped at the place at 8 p.m. right there, and then they did it the next morning, and then if they went to Ernie's house at the end of the day, I'd probably say they stayed awake for 48 hours. I don't do math. Well, kind of. That's what I was just thinking. I know they probably didn't legit film it in like 48 hours. What would you think? What is your theory that how long did Rhett and Link actually stay awake in this episode? As the adventure slowly comes to an end, we hear this a lot throughout the episode of like Big Rita telling Ernie to like, hey, you need to go see your father. And I did say in the React episode about celebrity appearances, we saw that in the trailer that Danny Trejo is in it, but we did not know what he was going to play. I could have gotten the reference when Ernie said like he's a wild man, jack of all trades. I mean, like Danny Trejo. In fact, last night, as I finished filming this episode, well, the first time I did it with no sound, there was a series on, I think it's the History Channel, where Danny Trejo is the host of it. And then it's kind of odd that I see that, him being a host, and then there's a movie of him in it, and then he's in this episode of Wonderhole right there. If you remember, Danny has been, well, back then when Smosh used to be part of Mythical, but now their own independent company, Danny was part of their Try Not to Laugh challenge. And I think, correct me if I'm wrong, I think Danny has been on, I don't know, maybe an episode of like, not Good Mythical Morning, but maybe Mythical Kitchen. Hold on. No, he has not been on an episode of Mythical Kitchen or Good Mythical Morning yet. And correction, it was not Try Not to Laugh. It was Eat It or Yeet It on Smosh Pit. But the scene, just in case you've forgotten, Rhett and Link are trying to stay awake, but we see them on the couch just struggling to stay awake right there. And Danny, or supposedly the father to Ernesto, Ernie, is about to pass. And this got my gears going a little bit. Of course, Rhett and Link lost because they both fell asleep. Ernie's father says, like, I'm going to let you take over the entire ranch. And then Ernie says, how many of the, how much deer or have, deer or what I have, or bucks what I have. And of course, he said, 10,000 bucks. Comedic genius right there. Because Rhett and Link did lose, but one came out as a winner. Someone wins 10,000 male deer. I mean, way to go, way to go. When he passes, Danny, or the dad, passes away, and the truck, because in the middle of the episode, after Link pulled the rope for the horn and is going like blaring, blasting, the horn is blaring out.
Classic Link mode.
And they tried to shut it down by like turning it off by pulling the Dijon mustard wire. When Danny passes and you hear the horn blasting up from the truck, I'm just kind of thinking, is it that his life has passed on to the truck in some way? Like maybe it's carried onto the truck, or kind of like a centennial salute, you know, where 100 cannons or some type of artillery would shoot off like 100 times as a way to honor someone in a certain way. So has he passed on to, the spirit has passed on to the truck, or is it just a salute in some way? What do you think? Now this pretty much wraps up my review on the episode, but let's see how we rank this episode on this week's ranking. I said last week I would be very surprised if this episode takes the #1 spot in this week's ranking, which I ranked episode 2 as the #1 spot. But I'm going to say, even though that episode 2 had a little bit of comedic moments, but it also pulled on your heartstrings right here. This episode 3, it brought that happy-go-lucky, let's go on an insane adventure, but it had that genuine spirits, comedic effects in there, all that jazz hands. It has that, the hangover, planes, trains, and automobiles typified that buddy comedic adventure. And of course, just some cringe moments in there, which you know that it turns out well in the end right there. I just have to say though, the one thing that I wish that they put in there, and some people that don't know Good Mythical Morning or Rhett Link may not understand this, but for us Mythical Beasts know. If you remember the episode where they taste Red Bull, or drink as much as possible for a Red Bull energy drink, and to see how they're going to be after that, there's that one scene where Rhett and Link have to guess a number between 1 and 100, and Stevie gives them the number, and then Rhett, using his psychic abilities, this happened.
71! I freaking told you! I'm not kidding, guys. I'm not making it up.
Hold on.
You think we script this crap? We don't.
I mean, they had the energy drinks right there. I mean, I know Link drank an energy drink, but Rhett said he was going to drink the energy drink. And I almost thought, I think it was like the one scene in there where they were about to pull the horn right there, or yank. And Rhett said like, hey, get me an energy drink next to the fireworks. I kind of almost hoped like, oh, if Rhett drank the energy drink and they just put that reference in there, my whole life would be complete. But I understand it wouldn't flow that correctly. But with that being said, this week's ranking for the best episode of season 2 of Wonderhole is episode 3 is taking the #1 spot, following up with episode 2 and episode 1. Now, I said I was going to be a little bit surprised, but I kind of understand, you know. I mean, you still have that happy-go-lucky energy, and I know I'm going to repeat myself right here, but you know what I'm getting. I am going to, well, that's a little bit of a spoiler alert, but episode 4, ooh. You have to find out next week right there. I just paused the time right here, and so far I have done about 26 minutes right here, which is not that bad right there. I mean, it probably may be shorter once I edit this out, but hey, yay me. Well, that wraps up today's episode of Wondering and Wonder Through the Wondering Hole. If you like this episode, click that like button. It really does wonders. Also, feel free to share in the comments your perspectives, your theories about this episode and this series. If you want to be on the lookout for the next episode premiering on Wednesdays, make sure you subscribe and click on that bell. And if you want even more content created by yours truly, make sure you follow me on Instagram at Rapha Conrad. Again, thank you so much for watching. My name is Rapha Conrad, also on YouTube is RandomRapha, and I will see you next Wednesday. But for now, keep on wondering and wondering. Hello?
Hey, this is a close associate and compadre of the Gobbler, Daddy Diesel.
Bye.